Hello everyone, I am Priyam Singh, InfoSec Girls Chandigarh chapter lead. I hope you all are safe and sound. We are here with virtual session of InfoSec Girls with great speakers. Starting first session with Gayatri Nayak. Before starting, I would like to tell a little about her. She is Associate Security Consultant at Ahuja's Security Researcher and Penetration Tester. So she will be presenting a session on ICS attacks and vulnerabilities. Over to you, Gayatri, and all the best for the session.
Yeah, thank you, Priyam, for such a lovely introduction. Now I'll be sharing my screen and little introduction about uh, Priyam. I think there is some issue over here. Only host can share this meeting. So
Okay, just let me check once.
yeah, just 1 minute.
Are you able to share?
Just 1 second. Let me check. No. Again, I'm seeing only the host can share.
Check, can
Yeah,
you now share it?
yeah. So hello everyone. So this is little brief about myself. I am Gayatri Nayak. I pursued my MSc Information Technology. Associate. I'm currently working with Aegis Cybersecurity as associate consultant, where my day-to-day activities range from performing web application security testing, network penetration testing, and testing of mobile and thick line applications. I'm also a red team member of my organization where I work with some brilliant minds. I'm an inquisitive person, like to learn and update myself regularly. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and this is the URL for that. So let's begin with the today's session. It is about ICS attacks and vulnerabilities. So today's agenda will be to cover introduction about ICS, different types of ICS, and why do we need ICS security. And later I will cover some common ICS attacks. It will be a general overview, like I won't be individually covering different attacks like Stuxnet, Triton, Black Energy, but rather a general perspective of malware attacks and similar other attacks. Apart from that, I will cover common ICS vulnerabilities. So let's begin with today's session. What is Industrial Control System? Industrial Control System, or simply ICS, refers to a collection of individual control systems and other hardware which work together to automate or operate industrial processes. ICs are found in various industries. Few of them are manufacturing, transportation, oil and gas refineries, electric power grid, as well as in water and wastewater treatment industry. Each of this industry will utilize ICS that are tailored for their specific processes. The goal of ICS is to make daily operations more efficient and autonomous with minimal input from human workers. ICS can come in various forms and types, the most common of which are SCADA and DCS. SCADA stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition Systems. SCADA systems are composed of devices, generally programmable logical controllers or other commercial hardware modules, that are distributed in various locations. SCADA system can acquire and transmit data and are integrated with a human-machine interface that provides centralized monitoring and control for numerous process inputs and outputs. The primary purpose of using SCADA is for long distance monitoring and control of field sites through a centralized control system. Suppose a worker has to travel long distance to perform a task or gather some data. A SCADA system is used to automate this task. Field devices control local operations such as opening and closing of valves and breakers, collecting data from sensor systems, and monitoring the local environment for alarm conditions. SCADA systems are commonly used in industries involving pipeline monitoring and control, water treatment centers and distribution, as well as in electric power transmission and distribution. Now let's move on to distributed control systems. This is a system that is used to control production systems that are found in one location. In a DCS, a set point is sent to the controller that is capable of instructing valves to operate in such a way that the desired set point is maintained. Data from the field can either be stored for future reference, used for simple process control, or even used for advanced control strategies from data of another plant. Each DCS uses a centralized supervisory control loop to manage multiple local controllers or devices that are part of the overall production process. This gives industry the ability to quickly assess production and operation data. And by using multiple devices within the production process, a DCS is able to reduce the impact of a single fault on the overall system. A DCS system is commonly used in industries such as manufacturing, electric power generation, chemical manufacturing, oil refineries, and water and wastewater treatment. There are various components of ICS and a few of them are mentioned here. So let's quickly understand functionality of each of these listed ICS components. First of all is PLC, which stands for Programmable Logic Controller. It is a type of hardware that is used in both DCS and SCADA systems as a control component of an overall system. It also provides local management of processes being run through control devices. Remote Terminal Unit, abbreviation for RTU, is a microprocessor controller field device that receives commands and sends information back to MTU. MTU is a master terminal unit that issues commands to RTU in the field. HMI is Human Machine Interface, which is basically a graphical user interface that allows interaction between human operator and the controller hardware. It can also display status information and historical data gathered by the device in the ICS environment. Next is CS, which is a control server that hosts the DCS or PLC supervisory control software and communicates with low-level control devices. IED is a intelligent electronic device, a smart device capable of capturing data, communicating with other devices, and performing local processing and control. The use of IDEs in control systems like SCADA and DCS allows for controls at the local level to be done automatically. So, why ICS security is important? Why will anyone target an ICS? Surprisingly, a lot of attack groups target ICS. There has been an exponential rise in cyber attacks targeting ICS as there is more number of devices are connected to internet for remote management during these pandemic times. Attackers can easily gain access by moving from IT to OT environment. So why don't we protect or take measures to secure such system? There are challenges. Basically, there is different in IT and ICS environment. So the security measures which we usually follow for IT may not be compatible with ICS environment. As we all know, IT adheres to CIA triad in valuing confidentiality first, then integrity, and lastly availability. That's not the case in OT. Paramount importance is given to availability as disabling certain systems could cause others to malfunction in a way that endangers the life of ordinary people. In ICS environments, Downtime can have real world consequences. As a result, OT takes an interest in integrity and confidentiality only after availability is ensured. A successful attack on ICS can lead to financial loss, as replacing damaged systems require huge expenses, and even the companies which are affected from data breach have to pay hefty penalties to the government. A successful attack on ICS can lead to operational downtime and have severe consequences. One such example is of cyber attack on Ukraine power grid, which caused blackout and affected around 2,25,000 of customers. There is also health and safety risk associated in a cyber attack because ICS are used in oil and gas refineries, manufacturing industries, and minor mishap can be endangering to human life. Scary, isn't it? Hence, there is need to protect ICS. A successful attack has serious impact on any organization, leading to operational shutdown, damaged equipment, financial loss, intellectual property theft, and substantial health and safety issues. So let's see some common attacks which are observed in ICS. First of them is malware attack. Malware attack use phishing as the most common threat vector as it is easy to embed files in doc, Microsoft Doc, GPG or PDF files. And your employees in your office and ICS environments likely use portable removable media like USBs, SD cards, etc. All of these can be used to transfer malware that are embedded in JPG or PDF files. For example, once one of these media storage devices is compromised, it can be used to bypass physical security and infect your ICS environment. This happens all the time. Employees often carry their office USB flash drives home and connect it to their laptops. These personal devices are rarely secure and often contain malware. These cyber attacks and malicious codes have evolved from simple viruses and worms to highly sophisticated and targeted code like Stuxnet. And then next move on to insider attacks. Insider attacks are a significant threat within every organization. Your internal employees are likely to compromise your ICS through both intentional and unintentional malpractices. While unintentional compromise are common, you likely have at least a few disgruntled employees or insiders paid to attack or steal assets and are readily willing and able to compromise the system. And if you are like many other organizations, then you are vulnerable to these attacks because you neglect to follow the principle of least privilege. By doing so, you are allowing one of your employees to perform sensitive action they are not authorized to perform. In one of the most common cases, you will open yourself to tremendous vulnerabilities if you fail to revoke access to employees leaving your company. Denial of service attacks are likely to be observed in ICS because they uses both wired and wireless communication. If you suffer attacks on these connections, you can experience an interruption of a lifetime and real-time communication between your ICS components. This might not sound like much, but your ICS second-long delay can create a severe negative impact on your operations. And this is only one of the many types of DOS attack that can be used against your components. Others include PLCs. They are fragile in nature, and a single massive port scan can crash your PLCs and easily disrupt the rest of your operations. There is always risk in using third party libraries and frameworks. The more you outsource system support for your ICS setups, the more you will open yourself to compromises from the third party support staff's infected machines because they don't have direct control over your third party service provider's infrastructure. You are increasing your risk of exploit with every new outsourcing deployment. Other threats observed in ICS attacks include technical or physical malfunction. Sometimes ICS compromises are not high tech. Sometimes they are generated by component level failures like breaks in your power line, hard disk failure, system crashes, and broken cables. This ground level issues can create runtime failures in your software that can disrupt your operations until you reset or repair your software or system. So let's see the common vulnerabilities observed in ICS. A lot of data is exposed on the internet. Data which can be gathered during reconnaissance can reveal sensitive information about ICS systems, such as ports, IP address, hostname, technology, and geolocation. These information about internal connected devices can be used by adversaries to find configurations, vulnerable elements, and exploit tools for ICS devices in order to attack the critical infrastructure and gaining access control system. Attacks can be minimized by maintaining a detailed inventory, use of isolated networks, and active monitoring of network and ICS infrastructure. The second vulnerability, which is often used by attackers or are exploited by attackers, are weak network segmentation. Network segmentation creates security zones that restricts an attacker to gain full control of the system, which could lead to high-level consequences. Lack of secure network design could result in findings like corporate LANs having direct access control to the system, production network, etc. This could impact and result in network loss, unnecessary exposure, and unprotected attack path. A firewall should segregate between ICS network and the DMZ should be implemented to provide only limited data to any network if required. Network administrators should invest in a secure ICS network architecture and closely monitor connections to subnet, DMZ, and other internal and external networks. Third vulnerability, which is often observed in ICS, is default configurations. Initially, attackers recon as much information they can by enumerating services, intercepting requests, etc. Use of default configurations, login information, which are hard coded into the script, display verbose error, lack of hardening, etc., all results in security misconfiguration. This will further facilitate the attacker to carry out severe attacks by directly exploiting specific features. To mitigate this, any unused feature should be removed and services should be hardened to the best security possible. Weakness in ICS protocols is another major issue observed in ICS. Network devices in ICS are mostly configured to allow remote management over insecure cleartext protocol. Any disgruntled employee or malicious actor who is into the network can easily sniff sensitive data like management credentials over insecure protocols. Network architects should look and avoid using such unsecure protocols. There is weakness in ICS application which is known by modern architects and developers. They use components such as frameworks or libraries readily available on the internet, which reduces their work and instantly provides intended functionality. HMI and data historians are vulnerable to web based attacks or numerous client based attacks. This could then result in unauthorized access to ICS components, which leads to code execution, DOS, or data loss. The common practice to prevent such issues is validating and sanitizing user submitted data, use of secure libraries and frameworks, and assigning proper access rights. Lastly, we will see that lack of security awareness among the employees is a major concern in ICS. Employees often become victim of social engineering and phishing. The phishing scheme could be using text, email, or web page. These attacks are aimed to target the organization's IT network. Phishing campaigns have existed for quite a while and continue to increase in attempts and sophistication. So it is necessary to be aware of the phishing trends and keep your employees well trained against such attacks and vulnerabilities. So we are end of this presentation, and the data throughout the presentation was extensively taken from the blog written by Satyam Singh. Apart from that, if you want to read further, there is some amazing content on FireEye, Trend Micro, and Records Corporation who have done their research on ICS, their attacks and vulnerabilities. I would like to thank you all for being such a lovely audience. If you have any queries, you can ask now or later on my LinkedIn ID. Thank you.
Hello, Gayatri.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for the session. It was really knowledgeable. And there is a question from Govind. He is asking that, hi, I'm currently working on a project in this field. In your opinion, what softwares would be able to simulate cyber attacks on power systems? Are there any suggestions from your side?
currently I'm unable to answer this. I will just dig into it and let you know. I will share the content if I find it later. Cool.
Okay, Govind, you can contact her on LinkedIn. So thank you. It was really a great session.
Thank you so much.